body pointed toward Mecca and buried at sea.
Wow! Imagine your body being pointed towards Mecca. Alright, another suggestion.
This video is brought to
For
you by
me?
Magellan TV. Stick around later for my personal documentary recommendation.
We're doing all the suggestions, okay? Guys, quick note. I'm gonna have something on my pinned comments about suggested videos because I have a lot of suggestions. So read my pinned comment.
Crimson sails entered treacherous waters, a pass hemmed on each side by the green coasts of Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula. Few sailors dared trespass here, but these colossal ships waded forward still, adorned with menacing carvings of dragons and phoenixes. Admiral Zheng He was leading the Imperial fleet back to China. Before him now appeared the dreadful pirate fleet of Chen Zuyi. Chen had long plundered and extorted passing vessels, and these Chinese visitors sailed into his waters heavy with cinnamon and pepper and other precious foreign goods.
Yo, Chinese pirates, man. What the heck? Yo, I've heard of Somali pirates, obviously Pirates of the Caribbean. I've heard little about Chinese pirates. Where could they even go on pirate, right? Like, I don't know much about that region or what was valuable. All I knew was that the Silk Road was like, valuable. And obviously, you can't be a freaking pirate, you know, online. Oh, well, technically, but I think that's like what? A different English word, like raider or something like that, you know. But Chinese pirates, what would they even pirate? Alright, let's continue.
Zheng He pulled ahead with a small contingent of ships and then turned to draw the pirates out. Imperial ships then spun close. Men on deck rallied to position and sprayed burning streams of gunpowder onto the pirate vessels. Incendiary projectiles devoured their sails, and the inferno consumed 10 pirate ships.
Bruh!
Zheng He cruised through the wreckage, hunted for Chen Zuyi for months, captured him, and sailed back to the elegant capital of Nanjing, China.
Nanjing was still the capital of China at this point? Because I know China was like... didn't China have like so many capitals at one point? Because China kept changing dynasties like all the time, right?
Chen Zuyi was beheaded, and Zheng He received by the emperor with praise, for he had delivered gold, silk, and blue-white porcelain to the courts of faraway lands, and returned with goods and envoys from India, Malacca, and Sumatra. The Chinese interpreted such exchange of fine goods as the foreign acknowledgement of the emperor as the rightful ruler of the world. Diplomacy and commerce therefore legitimized the reign of Yongle Emperor, who had only ascended the throne of the Ming dynasty by means of a bloody civil war that usurped his nephew.
Bro! I think every person who is a history buff know that Chinese civil wars are like a meme at this point, bro. They're like a meme. How many civil wars has China had? Bro, I think I was like looking at a list of like deadliest conflicts in human history or something like that. I don't even know. And I think I saw like top 10. I think I saw like 3 or 4 of those were from China. Like, bro. And it blows my mind how they were still able to reproduce. Like, how in the world did so many people die in that region, and yet they still have like the second most? Because I think China lied about their population graph for a while, so it's India who have the most people in the world, and China has the second most. But still, they have 1 billion people. Bro, Like, the more I think about that, the more it just like blows my mind. Just I don't even know. Like, wow.
At his side since he was a young prince had been the loyal Zheng He, whose father had been slain when the Ming armies made war against the Mongol tribes of the north, vestiges of the fallen Mongol Empire that once ruled China. Zheng He had been captured, castrated, and sent to serve as a royal eunuch. Now Yongle Emperor ordered his intrepid friend on another expedition across the seas. In Java they observed the Hindu Sati, the live burning of widows, and in India they beheld magnificent temples and elephants and men of many faiths. Zheng He was himself a Muslim, born in a China whose venerated deities and ethics derived primarily from Confucian, Taoist, and Buddhist tradition. The vast Islamic world had spread far its teachings, long sending scholars, explorers, and roving traders to distant lands. It was on those
Wait a minute. Wait. Islam went that far into. Oh, what? Islam. Wow, damn. Holy, yo. Now that I think about it, right? Why didn't any Islamic country really bother to colonize the New World, right? Because if they want to spread Islam, right? Like I'm watching in the early Muslim expansion. If I remember, if I remember this correctly, the Abbasid Caliphate spread like wildfire. In fact, the Arab Empire, I'm just gonna call it the Arab Empire. The Arab Empire spread like wildfire. One of the goals being to spread the word of Muhammad, right? So if the word was bloody hell, if their goal is to spread Islam, to convert people to Islam, right? Why didn't they colonize the New World? Because when the New World was colonized, so many people that were Christians wanted to convert the natives to Christianity, and it actually somewhat worked. Um, Very interesting. Maybe I might ask that question in another video about colonization or something. Maybe somebody will answer that question there.
very trails that China perceived echoes of a farther world. Nearly
Gorgeous.
7 centuries before, in 751, a Chinese soldier was taken prisoner in a battle against the Abbasid Caliphate, and then permitted to explore. He wrote of crossing south from Jerusalem and described a place called Molen, likely North Africa. The people there are black, and their customs are bold. Chinese cities hosted Arab trading colonies, where merchants unfurled from their packs rhinoceros horn, frankincense, and rare spices, goods from Islamic settled East Africa.
No! East Africa, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I gotta respect East African history. I I gotta respect East African history. In fact, the reason why I'm reacting to this is because, well, one of my lovely subscribers, who's an active subscriber, appreciate that, by the way, because I know you're watching this. But he wanted me to react to Somali history because he was saying how Somali history is better than Ethiopia. Honestly, I'm actually really curious about that because Ethiopia has a rich history. But like, dude, the more I'm like learning about this, the more I realize I'm like, yo, like, my eyes are being open, bro. You don't even know right now, right? I mean, like always say this in a lot of my reactions, but I mean, this is why I just love reacting to this stuff. Frankly speaking, that like big, oh my god, like eye-opening moment. Like, guys, you don't understand the feeling of that because when I learned this info, this is information that I'm going to bring up with people in the future, right? Because I discuss like history with people, and not only that, and this is another reason why I always tell people to comment, because there's some stuff that also some people comment, and I'm like, holy crap, like it blows my mind, and like eventually I'll bring it up with other people, right? So don't think I'm just saying that. Oh, comment. No, don't think I'm saying that in vain. Like actually, like do comment, because like I said, I read all of that, and it always like opens up my bloody hell. It's like 1 a.m. in the morning, and I was like had a long day at work, so my brain isn't functioning properly. But the point is, you get my point. Okay, let's continue.
Those Islamic states also began to raid the African hinterland for people. The fledgling Arab slave trade moved Africans to Iraq, and over the centuries a handful of these enslaved Africans came to China as the captives of Arab traders. Others were sold into a life of servitude in Chinese households.
What?
The wretched lot of these
What? I've heard about the Arab slave trade, man. I never knew that. Bro! Bro, they went all the way to China? What the heck,
men
man?
did not, however, diminish Chinese estimation of free Africans. Indeed, in the late 11th century, the Song Emperor prepared an ornate procession of royal boats to receive a delegation of African traders, and he gifted them white gold and inquired of their country. Commerce carried information. Medieval Chinese merchants, the most daring of whom had themselves traveled to Africa, passed along stories of brave nomads loyal to their chiefs and warring clans who roamed a country that shook with giant creatures. By the 13th century, a customs inspector on the Chinese docks had gathered an image of this place, consistent with East African folklore. He wrote that in Africa, many people practice magical arts and can change themselves into birds, beasts, or sea creatures to frighten and delude the foolish commoners. If in their
Yo! Hold up.
business dealings with a foreign ship a grievance arises, they cast a spell to bring the ship to a standstill. Thus, from the wanderings of audacious merchants grew a mythos, peculiar stories of kingdoms and spellcasters at the far end of the sea.
Yo, I'm having goosebumps right now because I just learned about skinwalkers, like a Native American, like folklore or urban legend. Yo, that is scary. That sounds exactly like a Native American skinwalker. Because skinwalkers, they can shapeshift, they can turn into like basically like different animals and whatnot. Yo, oh hell no! Oh my god! It's 1 a.m. Wait, what time is it, dude? It's 1 a.m. in the morning. I don't want to think about that. And I have a mirror right there. Oh, yo, I don't want to think about this stuff at 1 a.m., bro. I just came with this video, just thinking, all right, I'm gonna learn some new historical facts, bro. Like, I want to think about creepypasta facts right now.
And though the Silk Road flourished under Mongol hegemony, and the old camel trails brought to China African scholars such as Said of Mogadishu, the Mongol Khans had little interest in trade upon the pirate-infested seas. Now came the days of the Ming Dynasty. Admiral Zheng He would lead the awakening of the Dragon Throne.
1414. So we're in the 15th
In 1414, as hundreds of ships and 30,000 men sailed to India and beyond, a contingent of Zheng He's fleet returned to Yongle Emperor with a gift from the King of Bengal. This beast, the wise men of the court said, was the legendary Qi Lin, by whose mystical footprint the great Confucius had been conceived in ancient times. They described it as a Qi Lin whose shape was as high as 15 feet, with the body of a deer and the tail of an ox and a fleshy, boneless horn. Gentle is this animal, that in all antiquity has been seen but once. It seemed this creature of a higher realm had crossed into the mortal plane to shine as the first light of a new and prosperous age. This was a giraffe from the eastern coast of Africa. A year later, Zheng He returned with the
What? China didn't know what a giraffe was until the 15th century?
main fleet. In his western voyages to grand Islamic cities, he had met many esteemed Africans, and so he came to Yongle Emperor with another Qi Lin and ambassadors from the African city-state of Malindi. Within a year, envoys from Mogadishu and Brava also came to the imperial court, and the meeting of these distant powers consisted of an exchange of gifts, diplomatic gestures, and the emperor's promise to transport his visitors home. And so Zheng He prepared his fleet, returned to the shimmering palaces of India, and advanced to the court of the Sultan of Aden. All the while, Zheng He consulted the stars for direction, and pored daily over a 21-foot map that roughly charted the coasts ahead. White flocks of tiny Dao ships parted before the hulking vanguard of the ancient and faraway Dragon Throne. Weary sailors and officers and translators clambered into the city streets under the shade of lustrous towers and sloping palm trees. From tall lime and coral rag houses, men came with abundant goods, and women passed in vibrant scarves and dresses, and children stared at the procession of foreigners. This
Dude, yo, bro. East Africa, man. East Africa, bro. You see, East Africa has my respect, frankly speaking. Like, now this is debatable as hell, but I do believe that civilization most likely started in East Africa. Because I was reading up on this, because I heard someone say that the oldest civilization started in Ethiopia. And, I've heard some people challenge that. But I was reading up on this, and and there is data to show that civilization started around that area as super early as the 10th century. But because a lot of people didn't record, record the time period, is very skewed, right? So I see a lot of people say that Egypt was the first civilization. But I believe what happened is that civilization started from East Africa, then it expanded upward towards Egypt, and then by that point, they started to record data. That's just my personal opinion. If you want to say something else, you are free to say something else. I wouldn't say that you're wrong, but that's just my opinion. You could argue that civilization started in China. I've seen some people say that it started in China, but because I am a Christian and I do believe that in what the Bible states. Not only that, but science has proven that we came from Africa. So it would make sense, obviously, for it to start in East Africa, frankly speaking. So in fact, I even heard somewhere that the Garden of Eden was around what's now Ethiopia. Crazy. I'm not sure how true that is, but I just heard that somewhere. So, but I never realized how important East Africa was throughout this time up until I knew it had a political, the region was strategic, but the historical importance of it, I honestly just never really knew until recently.
Was Africa.
East Africa! And they have some gorgeous brown skin looking people. I was talking with someone about this earlier. I was like, oh yeah, East Africans, dude. They have some gorgeous brown skinned people. And they're like, ugh, ew, no. I'm like, yes they do, but whatever. A bit off topic.
The city of Mogadishu was a metropolis of Somali and Swahili-speaking people, tracing their origins to inland Africans and Arab settlers. They lived here under the Ajuran Sultanate, a wealthy network of powerful sheikhs who cultivated ocean-crossing trade, which brought to these shores Persian, Indian, and Indonesian merchants.
That's awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro.
The Chinese travelers noted the gold earrings of the women in the arid land around the fishing port. Your eyes rove round to meet only sighs and stares, desolation, the whole country nothing but hills, but rare spices and rare beasts evoke a sigh of admiration.
Dude, that is so freaking cool, bruh. Like, that is so cool. Like, compared to West Africa, bro, this is so cool. Like, I know West Africa, they had Mansa Musa, right? Mansa Musa, arguably the richest man in history. But honestly, I think this is way more interesting than Mansa Musa and the Mali Empire. Don't get me wrong, West African history, a bit glossed over, but I don't want to say. Well, I'm gonna say that East African history seems to have a bit more significance per se.
Zheng He's men offered cream-colored porcelain, gold, satins, rice, and silk, and received myrrh and ivory, and live rhinoceroses, lions, ostriches, and zebras. These locals were no doubt wary, for the Chinese fleet appeared a floating city armed with the largest ships on Earth. Zheng He had earlier mobilized this power to dethrone and replace a king in Sri Lanka who turned away his trading mission.
What?
The fleet continued south to the smaller settlements of Brava and Zubu, and they likely traded with nomadic clans and sailed to the kingdom of Malindi and the great trade center of Mombasa. If the whole world belonged already to the emperor, he had no need to conquer that which he already owned, nor wage gratuitous war against those he considered subjects. This was an age of diplomacy. Arab, Indian, and African envoys joined a parade of soldiers and giraffes and nobles through the marvelous center of the newly constructed Forbidden City. Glowing paper lanterns lined the path, and fireworks scattered light over the moats. Young La Emperor greeted them and read from royal scrolls and beheld this city, the new northern capital of his ascendant empire. But soon the
So this is when Beijing was created. Wow.
fleet sailed again to Africa, and the emperor sensed the heavens were turning against him. Lightning struck the Forbidden City and burned several wings. Famine starved the countryside, and on the northern fringes of his country, where stood scattered walls and lonely garrisons, tribes of raiding Mongols overtook the land.
Of course.
The old
Mongols.
emperor rallied his armies to hunt them, and on the long campaign he succumbed to illness. His successor would decry his voyages as frivolous and costly. Scholar officials voiced a Confucian disdain for foreign affairs and warned of the ambitions of influential eunuchs like Zheng He. This emperor died after 9 months on the throne, and he was succeeded by Xianda Emperor. In 1431, he summoned Zheng He, now in his 60s, for another voyage.
Bro, he looks so fat. Look at him. He looks so fat, bro.
So departed the great fleet, divisions of which returned to the familiar ports of Asia, and after a decade of silence sailed into the bustling harbors of Africa. There people drank from Ming pottery, adorned their mosques with Chinese porcelain, and draped themselves in Eastern silk. Chinese and European maps would later possess details that suggested the fleet ventured far south to trade with the peoples of now Tanzania and perhaps southern Africa, and a Madagascar already settled by Indonesians.
Wait, Indonesians went all the way to Madagascar? I know that some Indonesians are black, like super black. They're like black Asians. It's wild. I actually Googled that. I'm like, literally Google black Asians and you'll see it for yourself. I forgot what the people were called, but it's crazy.
This was the final voyage, It's thought that Zheng He passed away of illness en route back to China, his body pointed toward Mecca and buried at sea.
Wow! Imagine your body being pointed towards Mecca.
At the close of that century, Vasco da Gama led the Portuguese around the southern tip of Africa. The Portuguese would sack and forcibly settle parts of the eastern coast. Africans who were called the Chinese treasure fleet found European ships and goods unimpressive, and so the Portuguese became middlemen in the trade with the Far East, for the ships of the Dragon Throne had not been seen in a generation. The palace gates of China were shut, and her seas fell again into piracy. A court official named Liu Daxia regarded the old voyages as indulgent and fanciful, and he destroyed or hid the official travel logs of Zheng He. What remained?
Why? Oh, that's so
Were
sad.
the accounts of several learned crew members. And across the ocean, a Swahili poet recalled African cities where their feast tables were spread with ware from China, each drinking vessel traced with fine engraving. By 1800, the age had passed, and where once the porcelain stood in the wall niches, now wild birds nestle their fledglings. Along the East African coast, there are villagers who claim descent from shipwrecked Chinese sailors. And in the ground and on quiet strips of shoreline, one still finds faded shards of Chinese porcelain and coins minted with the mark of Yongle Emperor.
Bro, that is so freaking awesome. That is actually so awesome. I never knew that was I never knew that China and East Africa had contact with each other. Holy crap, this is mind-blowing, bro. I'm gonna tell people about this.
Remnants of the Golden Age.
Tragic, man. Yo, honestly, it kind of makes me sad.
The dramatic and brutal rise of Yongle Emperor, or Zhu Di, fell outside of the scope of this video, but the documentary The Center of the World.
Alright, is that it? Yo, dude. Oh my gosh. And it's kind of more... shit. I need to like, find my words. It's more sad because... And this is why I said I'm sad, because like East Asian people, particularly Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans, they're so racist towards dark-skinned people. And I'm not one of those people who like to use the race card. No. In fact, if anything, I would like go and try to debunk it. But no, like seriously, like you're so racist for like no good reason towards dark-skinned people. In fact, I've talked to other people about this, and they themselves are like, "Oh yeah, that is very true." I'm like, and they have no valid reason. Like they're just so racist because they got freaking colonized by white people, and now they think that you know. I'm not even gonna say much about that, but it just makes me sad because I just wonder, like, yo, what if China did kept in contact with East Africa? Like, bro, maybe then today East Asia maybe wouldn't be so racist towards darker skinned people, right? Or colored people, frankly speaking. But anyways, man, you made it all the way to the end of the video. If you have any suggestions made for me, please comment down below. I have a lot of suggestions. If you want me to react to your suggestions faster, you could send me a super chat or super thanks. It could be any price. It could be 99 cents. Okay, it could be $1. Okay, if you send me any super thanks, it could be any price, and I will react to your suggestion much faster. In fact, this is why I even reacted to this video, because someone sent me a super thanks. I was like, oh, okay, well, for that, I will put your suggestion on the top of my list. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe if you like what I have to say. And do like the video so that my videos stay on the YouTube algorithm, so that the YouTube algorithm sees that, hey, you people are liking my stuff, so that more people get recommended my content. And stay tuned, and goodbye.